Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode here at the Damage Report, still under lockdown day... something. 130, 140, I don't know. I've had a lot of haircuts, all in the pandemic. That's how I'm counting this. I'm 5 haircuts in. What about you, Francesca Fiorentini? How many haircuts have you had during the pandemic?
I mean that I'm legally allowed to speak about? None.
You know, the funny thing is someone else referenced illegal haircuts yesterday to me. Is it really illegal? You can't?
No, it's not illegal, but it's very much this like open and closed in California. It's like you can't. So there's definitely someone going around who's got like half of their hair done because of how much the closure laws have been changing. Yeah. I am 1 haircut in, and I wish it were more.
Okay, that's probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Well, look, I'm happy to have you here. Mondays tend to be big news days, and today definitely is. We've got some updates on the fight for enhanced unemployment benefits, that fight being between the working class and our entire government, which is fun. We've got updates on voting. Will you be able to? Stay tuned. And, you know, Trump's got a new doctor he's targeting. That's fun. Fauci, that's so July. August has a new one. So we're going to talk about that. And the Army and the rest of the armed forces, I should say, are back to streaming on Twitch, but not recruiting. We're going to take a look at the evidence and see whether that's actually true or not. And by the way, a couple things before we jump into the news. One, Rob Shively, the very big super chat saying, "Happy birthday, Captain America and Black Widow." Thank you, Rob Shively. So...
Is that...
You're Black Widow.
Is that my cat or me?
Thank you. Maybe both. Catwoman, Francesca Fiorentini. Thank you so much. So they've been labeling people that have come on the show as different superheroes recently, including Jordan Ewell, who apparently, shockingly, isn't into superheroes. You would guess he was, but you're apparently Black Widow, which is pretty cool. And she's got an upcoming movie, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm gonna pretend that I am into superhero movies and that I like Scarlett Johansson.
Oh. Interesting.
Polemic. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
great.
Thank you. There's some issues there, but she's a good actress. Jojo Rabbit, 2 thumbs up. Very good. No, you don't.
No, I didn't. No. Oh, I know that's good. Scarlett can only be enjoyed as a Nazi.
I knew it was going there. I knew you were going to say something like that. Anyway, okay, but before even more before the news, today is Monday, August 3rd, which means today is the day that you have an opportunity to watch a special screening of the documentary film Parkland Rising. That will be available at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, and it's a film that follows the stories of the high school students and their families and their fight for gun reform in the wake of that tragic shooting at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High. That'll be available at those times, youtube.com/theyoungturks and at tyt.com/live. I spoke with Fred Guttenberg on the show last week about it, and today is the day it's available. And you know what else is available? Your ability to send us tweets and comments and super chats and have us respond to those. So we'll be doing that as well. I see some coming in. We'll be talking about them soon. Francesca, how about we do this thing?
Go.
Let's do it. Also, like button. Hit it maybe. Do something to it. I don't know. Whatever you like. Anyway, with that, let's jump into it. Last week, Donald Trump raised the possibility of just delaying the whole election thing, and we all sort of get why that's something he's saying. It's complex, but it's a combination of his own inadequacies, fears about his performance in the election, and the fact that he'd love to dispense with this whole democracy thing. But that's what makes it so interesting that one day after he said that we might have to delay the election, the White House condemned Hong Kong for their decision to delay an election. Lacking a bit of that moral gravitas in the immediate aftermath of saying you plan to do it. But yeah, they don't want Hong Kong to. And I agree. We should have elections. I just don't think the White House has much, moral high ground on this.
I mean, it's the same do as I say, not as I do, or don't do as I say. Whatever it is, American exceptionalism at its finest with Trump. And it's so interesting because, especially when it comes to China, I think we've seen so many Right-wingers like laud the Hong Kong protesters and say, lift them up, and wow, they're fighting for democracy and all this. And that very well may be true, but then not extend that same analysis to Americans who are marching in the streets for Black lives, who are marching for civil rights, who are marching to be able to vote, freely. Suddenly, no, we don't like democracy anymore. We don't like protesters anymore. No, now umbrellas are weapons, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Everyone's an anarchist, etc.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about this, though, I mean, we all know Trump has said that he's jealous of Chinese leaders. Like, he's jealous of President Xi Jinping for extending his rule indefinitely.
Yeah.
I believe it was lifting term limits or just extending his own presidency. And he was like, well, I wish we could do that. Remember when he said that? So it's a very cute,
joke.
Yeah. Oh no,
he
it was
was
a joke.
Joking.
Good joke.
Very funny. Yeah. And let's have some more jokes because I like comedy. That's Francesca, great comedian. We have you on to bring the laughs, but Trump is also bringing the laughs because he has another joke for us. This was very recently. Let's see. We got it right here. He tweeted, in an illegal late-night coup, Nevada's clubhouse governor, I don't know what that means, made it impossible for Republicans to win the state. Ooh, dramatic. Post office could never handle the traffic of mail-in votes without preparation, using COVID to steal the state. See you in court. So that is like universal mail-in voting, basically, because Trump seems to have forgotten, but we're in a pandemic. And it's not safe, and it's probably going to be no safer on election day than it is today. So they are making it easier for people to be able to vote, which seems long overdue in a representative democracy. But he's not a fan of it, and he thinks that if people can easily vote without exposing themselves to a deadly pathogen, Republicans, in his words, can never win the state again. Yeah. And so he plans to sue to stop the expansion of the vote. That's what the president is going to do. Hilarious. I'm not sure what the punchline is, but I know it's a joke. The setup sometimes is more valuable than the punchline.
I mean, our American democracy is pretty much a joke at this point, but exactly right. I mean, this is what Republicans have tried to do, but they're just a little minimally more skillful than Trump. So they love to suppress the vote. They love to close down polling stations. But Trump is openly, like, again, saying the quiet part out loud and being like, we're not going to win. And everyone's like, shh. But this is where I think journalism needs to play a, bigger role. Every single question from now until November to the president or to Kayleigh McEnany should be around, look, we've all heard the president say that if mail-in voting were universal, were in every state, if there was more money for it, that Republicans wouldn't win. What is your response to that? Are you trying to rig an election? Well, do you believe that you can't win on merit alone? Is it because there is no plan for a second term?
Yeah. That seems fair. We actually have sort of a question like that with Kayleigh that we're going to play in a little bit, but I want to stick right now on Trump's comedy about, the election being theoretical. Like, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, maybe we'll delay and all that. So here is a video. It's not Trump, but it is White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows being asked by John Dickerson about whether Trump had asked his chief of staff about the possibility of delaying the election. Let's see if that question receives an actual answer.
To the next question. Did the president ask you or anybody in the administration to look into the idea of delaying the election day?
Listen, all of this that we're talking about comes down to one thing: universal mail-in ballots. That is not a good idea for the country. We don't have to look any further than New York to see what a debacle that mail-in ballots have been when we have weeks and weeks of delay of who the winner is. Can you imagine if that is with the president of the United States? So as we look at this. So he has not looked at delaying any election. What we will do is, if we try to transform this and start mailing in ballots all across the country, all 50 states, what we will see is a delay because they're just not equipped to handle it.
Okay. So, and we're going to return to them not being equipped to handle it. But there, Chief of Staff is asked, were you asked by Trump to delay the election? And he doesn't actually respond. He starts talking about mail-in ballots because this entire thing on the right, Trump and other elected Republicans, basically 99%, whatever Trump all of a sudden has his position, they immediately pivot. Like, was Mark Meadows, like, violently against mail-in ballots 2 years ago? I don't know. I kind of doubt it, though. But now the default position has to be that even if you yourself always vote by mail, you hate it and it's unfair and it's going to ruin American democracy. And so I don't find that to be at all reassuring if I want to have the election actually happen on the 3rd.
No, that was a very pointed question, too. That was did the president ask you to delay the election? It's like, are you cheating on me? Oh, well, I mean, what is marriage anyway? Look, here's the thing that marriage can be, fluctuating in definition and we have to give and grow within a relationship. Yeah, it's for life. And, yeah, she started it, but like what? He's evading the question and slipped in there a little bit of a no, but not a strong enough definitive no. And I think the follow-up question, of course, is, so would you rather Americans die, more Americans die, than be able to vote by mail, right? Is that worth it to you? And I think the answer is yes. Either die or don't vote.
Yeah.
Put yourself at risk or don't vote. And this is the sad thing, John, I think we know this is true, is that after Election Day, and I don't imagine COVID is going to be under control by November, sadly, there will be a spike in cases because people will have waited in long lines and put themselves at risk. And of course, there will be people not wearing masks in those long lines.
Yeah.
It's awful. But yet these are the lengths. I mean, greater lengths have been gone to for the right to vote and to be able to vote. I think people know the stakes right now. It's just so upsetting that Republicans can be so bald-faced about their wish to suppress the vote and or send people to die. And
look, I would say, they always imply that, leftists and all that are biased in this. And I have to admit, I am biased. Even if it wasn't a pandemic, I would still support more mail-in ballots because you know what? We should have had it forever. Working class Americans shouldn't have to hope that they can get a little bit of time off between their jobs so they can run down and vote and probably line up in lines that'll last 3 or 4 hours because the sorts of areas that many Americans vote in, the polling places have been stripped away and it's virtually impossible. And it certainly can't be a holiday, the presidential election. Why would somebody get off something for that? So no, even if there wasn't a pandemic, even if there was no risk, people should be able to vote as easily as possible. Registration should be as easy as it is possible to make it. If I can press one button and order my Domino's pizza, the exact same order as last time, one button and it comes, I think we can make voting a little bit simpler, okay? And so, yeah.
I want to track the ballot then too.
Exactly.
Now your ballot is being counted.
Yeah.
Your ballot is being opened.
Yeah.
Your ballot is being tampered with. Oh my God.
These ballot initiatives are fresh and hot. Yeah, that's what I want. But let's see. You mentioned Kayleigh McEnany, so let's go to that right now. Kayleigh McEnany, mouthpiece for the president. So she's following everything he says about the fact that mail-in ballots, they might not be safe. We're really worried about that. And we all know that the states are going to need help. So are they providing that? Well, she was asked that question. Here is what she had to say.
Focused on is making sure that our election is not riddled with voting fraud and that the timetable is not hung up here. There are several lawsuits that the campaign is engaged on, and I would point you to the campaign for specifics
that doesn't answer my question, though. My question is, what is the White House doing to get more resources for funding and staff to make sure, as the president says, that it will be a secure and safe election?
Well, as you know, Peter, states run their elections, and it is up to states to make sure that they have...
Okay, so yeah, that's very clear. They're asking for more money. They need it. So we cut out a little bit, and what it is because Kayleigh McEnany, I'm gonna be nice about this. We saw her binders. All she does is she hears a noun, and then she looks for that tab, and then she reads a paragraph that she's printed. There's no reason to have her there. So she did that on this. He said, well, what resources are you making available? And she said, okay, as someone said in the Washington Post, New York is largely to blame for their own problems, and we know that states are responsible. And he's like, no, I get it. Yeah, the states sometimes make mistakes. That's why the federal government needs to give them as many resources as they think are necessary because of how important the stakes are in this election. And she had no response to that. They're not going to provide any new resources. And we already know that in all of these different negotiations over the past few months, The concerns have been raised about, will we be able to have a safe election? 6 months out from the election, will we be able to have a safe election? And the response has always been, especially from the Republicans, I guess maybe we'll see. I don't know. And that's what we got from her there. They're preemptively saying the states are responsible if there are mistakes, and we won't do anything because they want there to be chaos on election day. That would be the best case scenario.
Yes.
They want to be able to say, we don't have to abide by whatever happens in this election, and they're setting that situation up.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and this is what's so interesting about Republicans co-opting what should be a Democrat line, right? And the fact that, again, we don't have the opposition that we need to confront this, party of death right now. But if we did, I mean, when was the last time that an election went to the Republicans because of one state's ridiculous system and that failed completely because we left it to the states? That set in motion the George W. Bush administration, 2 international wars and some, a giant debt because of those wars, Barack Obama and then Donald Trump, so some good with some bad, but come on, I mean, this is the thing. It's like Democrats are the ones who should be saying, actually, this only benefits you. We know, we've seen you try and play dirty tricks before. You've played these dirty tricks before. We should be the ones to be concerned about election fraud.
Yeah.
Because it's coming from the highest levels. But you're absolutely right. They want the chaos. And they want sort of the cynicism. I think that's the other thing. Is it's the internet, right? If you sow enough cynicism and doubt, then I don't know, maybe were there children in cages ever? That was just a rumor. Did you ever see video? I didn't.
Exactly.
What about the moon landing?
Really? It's way up there. Doesn't seem likely. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Sometimes we're just really in sync. So you brought up, well, look at what happens when there's election chaos and the Supreme Court gets involved. And effectively decides for themselves who's going to win the election, and then all of what comes from that. So you bring that up. I talked about it last week on the show. The thing is, we bring it up as a cautionary tale, but not everyone is citing it as a cautionary tale. I want to go now to one more video. This is Governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, bringing up that decision as hey, keep it in mind, and wouldn't it be great sort of thing.
President should accept the results no matter what.
Well, the president should accept the results, just like presidents in the past have accepted the results. I mean, you remember Bush versus Gore. It went to the United States Supreme Court. There's always issues that happen that are appropriate to reserved for seeing what the situation is, but we shouldn't be fretting about it in advance.
Exactly. So he's saying, no, he should totally accept it, but things happen. Remember 2000? Wasn't that swell? That was what he was saying. And he's effectively, not that he has the power or whatever, but that's what's floating out there, is that maybe the Supreme Court can possibly save Trump from what looks like is going to be a disastrous election. And all of what they're saying about mail-in votes and all of that is not an actual expression of fear that it won't work. It's that they want people to believe that they can't be trusted. And so on election day, when we get the in-person votes, if it looks good for Trump, he can try to shut down the count, which the Supreme Court has already done in the past. As Asa Hutchinson said, it would be too much chaos if we were to wait 2 days or a week to find out the results. So let's just take what we have right now, which, by the way, is good for Trump. And our only hope at that point is that the Supreme Court doesn't rule on their side, which, good luck, because it's a right-wing Supreme Court, so they just might, and that Joe Biden doesn't throw in the towel instantly to help the nation heal. While its democracy dies, but Al Gore already threw the thing away at the first sign of trouble, and Joe Biden seems like more of an appeaser than Al Gore was back in 2000, so all of this is an absolute disaster.
I don't know. I think Pop still's got it in him to fight for this election. I think he'll be put it here.
If Biden fought, he would box like this.
Yeah, he's definitely, and just in tall socks and an undershirt.
But a shirt that's blue and white stripes. Yeah, maybe.
It's so sad. But yeah, maybe. It depends on what kind of morning it is, how the grape nuts were. We don't know. But yes, Yeah, right there. Exactly. You're exactly right, John. They're hoping it would be thrown to the Supreme Court. And once again, I think it's on all of us. I stand by this. I know people on the left and progressives, we can be so cynical because we see how horribly unfair a two-party system is. But in this case, when we're going into November, we can't be the cynics. The Republican Party is the most cynical party in all of history. Like, seriously, they are cynical. Donald Trump was a cynical vote. Don't ever get that twisted. It was not a vote for hope. It was a cynical, like, take it all, destroy it all vote. We are now the party of moral values. We are now the party of family values. We are now the party of life. We are now the party that wants a future for our children. Yeah. We have to really draw that line in the sand and remember that we can't afford cynicism right now. We have to be clear-headed, know what the fight is going to be, vote for Biden and fight like hell to make sure that he can be pulled to the left, actually pass policies that will help the majority / all of Americans.
Yeah. Fight like hell. Then, after Election Day, we'll get really drunk that night, sleep it off, take 2 or 3 days, and then continue fighting like hell. That's what we're going to have to do. In the words of Zane, fisticuffs, good sir. That's what we need. We need fisticuffs, good sir. Okay, so let's read a few super chats before moving to other news. Very good points there, Francesca. Couldn't agree more. Sean, thank you for your super chat. Brian Rodriguez says, happy Fantastic Monday. Congress is a tool. # show me the the Spanish. Yeah, I get it. I remember.
Calzones.
Also,
there you go.
Why does sun red in PHX? Is it? That's foreboding. Thank you again, Rob, for that super chat. Max says, can we all agree that John needs to blow a giant conch at the beginning of every show to signify the assemblage of Dragon Squad? Okay, I'm going to Amazon giant conch. Okay, let's see if I can get Prime on that thing.
Yeah, and for those who hablar español, that giant conch means something very different.
I'm going to blow only carefully chosen things. Carson Rodkey says, it's day 143 for me out of work. Yeah, that number's getting up there, Carson. Sorry about that. But someday Disney will rise from the ashes. Hopefully when it's safe. Kai Allen says, Francesca, thank you for the Bitchuation room, and please keep making episodes. I love to get a little tipsy and watch TBR with you and NATO on Sunday nights. # telling on myself. Nice.
Yay.
Nice. Noelia, thank you for your You Are Amazing. Revelation News says, used to be a Trumper and now really enjoy your content. Thanks so much.
Oh.
Thank you. K Chan says, John is the best background of all TYT. We are talking laps ahead. Also, show me the undies Monday. No, don't distract with a compliment about the background and throw in some undies. But thank you. Tina says, John Oliver gives a real history lesson last night. I didn't watch it yet. That's the only reason I haven't brought it up yet. I'm going to. It was super late. I don't know why the episode was so late last night. I didn't watch it. It was too late. But I will. So don't say anything to him. But so Dan from the internet, he respects John Oliver, but he doesn't love his comedy. And so we have this feud where I'll always link him to John Oliver videos that I think are good, and he'll respond with Hassan Minhaj videos that he thinks are good. And the thing is, those videos are more similar to each other than any other two shows, except their style of comedy. And he likes Hassan's much more, and I like John Oliver's much more. No shortage of respect for the teams that make those two shows.
I can't be fully honest about how I feel about either of those shows, but I definitely come down. I think I'm more of a last week tonight girl.
Yeah.
Although yes, there's a lot of baby koala jokes and small hedgehog jokes and just cute animal jokes. John Oliver. There's tons of it.
I like it. He goes too far even for me sometimes, but I like it. And but both of those shows, in terms of topic selection, research, presentation of information, I prefer Last Week Tonight, but they're both way above everything else. So
sure, there's another show called Newsbroke.
Wait,
and
what?
I hear that it's like Hassan Minhaj, John Oliver, Sam B, but with a 16th of the budget.
You think you have a 16th of the budget? Doubt it.
How dare you?
Doubt it.
But it's very good, and it's coming back in the fall, and you should all watch it.
Yeah. Well, you definitely should, everybody. Okay, really fast. Wayne says, yay, happy hashtag show the panties day. That's not what it... Glad
It's
to
show
see
the
you.
undies, but
Show the
panties are
undies.
fine. He probably wears panties. There's lace.
There's probably
If they're big boy pants.
He likes
There's
luxury.
Yeah.
Glad to see you, John and Francesca. Isn't it ironic that Trump is sabotaging the post office and mail-in voting? Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. David, thank you. Behoove says, John, conch is pronounced chunk. Lol. I'm not touching that with a 20-foot chunk. Okay, so anyway, with that, let's jump back into it. Okay, we're gonna have to be fast for the second half of the show because we've gone through one block. That's my fault. Okay, let's do this. From the beginning, as the pandemic began to cause shutdowns that caused massive loss of jobs, the White House has been concerned about one thing and one thing only when it comes to helping out the American people: that they don't get too much help, so that those lazy bastards start staying at home instead of running back into the pandemic breach as soon as they're told to. White House Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow told CNN back in June that a measure of enhanced unemployment, $600 extra a week, was a disincentive to work, adding, "We're paying people not to work." And he was hardly the last. Stephen Mnuchin, that's not here. Stephen Mnuchin says we're paying people more to stay home than to work. That was just in the last couple of days. And he said that despite the fact that we now know, according to big studies, that it's not actually the case. New study out of Yale shows that in the aggregate, the expanded benefits, quote, neither encouraged layoffs during the pandemic's onset nor deterred people from returning to work once businesses began reopening. And in particular, the report says workers facing larger expansions in unemployment insurance benefits have returned to their previous jobs over time at similar rates as others. We find no evidence that more generous benefits disincentivize work either at the onset of the expansion or as firms look to return to business over time. In future research, it will be important to assess whether the same results hold when states move to reopen. And there was another study back. The Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago said those currently collecting benefits search more than twice as intensely as those who have exhausted their benefits. That was published back 2 months ago. But they're not going to allow multiple studies to show that these enhanced unemployment benefits are not only necessary to keep people afloat, but also are not causing them to sit lazily at home playing their Xboxes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Republicans think that a steady check from the government disincentivizes work because they receive a steady check from the government and they do no work. So they would know. Yeah. All right. Like, the only time a government check disincentivizes work is when you're in Congress. We've all seen it. They don't do shit. Sorry. Oh, God. My bad, John. Bleep me out next time.
Okay. They'll grab it.
But here's the thing. When you talk about disincentivizing work, when Republicans are super, super into that talking point, it's really to punish people. It's to completely impose their ideology that, once again, somehow we're to blame for our own problems. We're to blame for the virus, right? And so constantly, it's not that they actually believe that it's disincentivizing work. It's that they believe that you should feel bad and you should believe that you're not working hard enough, that you're lazy, that you deserve everything, like eviction, like unemployment. You deserve all of this, right?
Yeah.
It's a cruelty. It's, once again, an ideology of cruelty.
Exactly.
Sorry for the S-bomb.
No worries. We're gonna clean it up. Yeah, and as people are talking about in the chat, let's remind people that those who would like to get these enhanced unemployment benefits, again, for economic, catastrophe that they didn't cause, are taxpayers. And where does that money come from? The taxes that they've paid. They are being handed back their own money. That's why we pay some of these taxes, to take care of that. But it is so clear from people like Steve Mnuchin that they think, no, this is our money. It's supposed to go to military contractors and our buddies and things like that. Oh God, having to give you $600 a week, that doesn't help me at all. Even though it would. It is very helpful long term for the health of the economy that we not have destitute millions being thrown out of their homes through the eviction crisis that is boiling up right now, and losing everything because, again, they can't go safely back to work. But that whole government thing is being buttressed by a long-standing, months-old push by Fox News to amplify the same message, with just recently a Fox News anchor saying that expiring unemployment benefits might cause people to actually go back to work. So the fact that our government took a 3-day weekend and allowed both the eviction crisis to kick off and the unemployment benefits to lapse, necessitating that even if they're renewed, it will take weeks for that to actually happen, is secretly a good thing because, again, studies be damned, this is necessary for people to finally get off their tuchuses and get back to work, which we know is not true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and we've seen Pelosi say, that Republicans are simply not focused on the virus. Like, they do not care about actually fixing this. So I as much as I think there are problems with the HEROES Act and what was passed in Congress, I do think it is a far cry better than what Republicans are proposing, which is, again, cutting these unemployment benefits by, I believe it's 2/3. But how do you negotiate with an entire party that will not face reality? How? How are you supposed to say, don't you get that people need to stay at home and they should be incentivized to stay at home to keep themselves safe and everyone else safe so we all don't die?
Yeah.
And they won't accept that. So, once again, capitalists don't value your life. They don't value your labor. And here is the proof.
Yep, and we're seeing it every day. They're still it's 1:30 Eastern time. They're still on break over the weekend. In a half an hour, they'll finally return because it wasn't enough that they had a 3-day weekend. They also sort of got an extra half day on Monday. And we can look forward to talking all week on the show about the arguments back and forth to maybe start the process where people will get unemployment yet again, as every day more and more people lose their jobs. And if you are unemployed right now and you've been relying on this money, you're going to have a gap of literally weeks at the best, in the best case scenario, before you finally get those again. Absolute disaster didn't have to happen, but that is, after all, the theme of 2020. Okay, let's move directly into some coronavirus discussion. That's always fun. And also a theme. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Ready to go. Okay. For weeks now, Donald Trump and his goons have been going after Dr. Fauci because Fauci made the fatal error of becoming popular in the eyes of the American people. But that's sort of getting to be old, and they need something new. They need Donald Trump to set himself apart from any medical expert, anything like that, even ones that have been incredibly deferential to him, like, for instance, Deborah Birx, who appeared recently with Dana Bash, and Dana Bash pretty much laid into her. Take a look.
The question that everybody out there has is why? Why did this happen? Why was the government, particularly, I mean, you're the coordinator for the federal response, why weren't you able to stop this from spreading and continuing to spread uncontrollably as it is now? I mean, we've been talking about outbreaks across the Sun Belt. You're warning now about a resurgence in states across the Midwest. In recent days, you've named 20, we're putting them up on the screen, 20 of the 50 states as places you're watching. So are we in a new phase of the pandemic? And if so, what are you going to do to change course?
I think those are two very critical questions because we are in a new phase. And that's why I really wanted to make it clear to the American people. It's why we started putting out government.
Try to get a handle on this because what I'm trying to express to you, which is something that I know that you're hearing, people are panicked. People are worried. People don't understand why this is seeming to be completely out of control. Johns Hopkins University said, quote, this week, the United States is not currently on course to get control of the epidemic. It's time to reset. A couple of other medical agencies, associations said similar. So is it time for the federal government to reset?
Well, I think the federal government reset about 5 to 6 weeks ago when we saw this starting to happen across.
Yes. Okay. So yes, there were cuts made. If you want her rambling for 45 seconds at a time without really saying anything, there's some of that available online. But she did acknowledge that things are really bad, that the government did have to reset 5 or 6 weeks ago. I don't really think that happened, but Trump isn't going to want it to be acknowledged whether it happened or not. And she acknowledged that things are likely to get bad, that there are like 20 out of the 50 states are expected to be new hotspots for the virus, just as the 4 main ones right now start to get it under control. New ones are picking up the slack. And so we're going to have his response in just a little bit. Spoiler alert, he didn't like it. Francesca, what do you think about Birx now being like the replacement for Fauci, both in terms of a representative for the government, but also for his rage?
I will remind viewers about why Birx became Trump's right-hand woman and doctor in the first place, which is because he, quote, thought she was elegant. A bunch of people, a bunch of CDC officials, a bunch of other professionals were telling him, look, we got to get this under control. We got to get this under control. What's going, what's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan? He was like, I don't know. Oh, look, she's got a scarf. Like that. Yeah. That is how it went down. So it's, and again, I don't want to throw Dr. Birx under the bus here. Like, I think it is an unenviable position to have to be a mouthpiece with a brain for this brainless mouthpiece. You know what I mean? Like how do you do that? You're in a position of privilege. You could potentially, thread this needle, the needle that no one has managed to thread in this entire time. And that being like someone who wants to do a little bit of good in the Trump administration, just a little bit of not harm. Yeah. Is truly never able to do it. And then they go off and write an entire book about how all they wanted to do was bomb Iran. And yeah,
I think I know. I think I know who you're talking about there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. And look, she said a few other things that were critical before we give his attack. Let me read a couple of these. She said that what we're seeing today is different from March and April. It is extraordinarily widespread. He doesn't want that. He believes that we only have cases because we have tests, even though hypothetically you need to have both tests and actual virus infections. But anyway, she said that. He didn't like it. And if you have an outbreak in your rural area or your city, you need to really consider wearing a mask at home, assuming that you're positive if you have individuals in your home with comorbidities. And he's not going to like that either, because he now flips day by day on whether he begrudgingly is okay with masks or it's a plot from, demonic ethereal witches to impregnate you in the night. And so, like I said, he started off the morning attacking her, saying, so crazy Nancy Pelosi said horrible things about Dr. Deborah Birx, going after her because she was too positive on the very good job we are doing on combating the China virus, including vaccines and therapeutics. In order to counter Nancy, Deborah took the bait and hit us. Pathetic! And he knows pathetic. And so, yeah, she is now pathetic because after being attacked by Nancy Pelosi in her recent appearances, like with Dana Bash, she is more critical of the response. I would argue she's more critical of the response because the response is failing. And understand, this is Deborah Birx. This is like a woman who, in late March, said, I've never seen anyone who absorbs medical information like Donald Trump does. She defaced herself, before the country, took all of her credibility and threw it away for him, perhaps vainly, naively thinking that Donald Trump would be appeased by that, but he's not. Smaug doesn't want a certain amount of gold. He wants more than he has. And so...
No, yeah, I mean, girl, jump ship, write that book, sell it before November. It's like, yes, Trump really is that dumb. My take, Mm-hmm. I'm so sick of it. But I do want to just remind everybody, that syphilitic brain tweet has very real life consequences for someone like Deborah Birx, for Anthony Fauci, who I believe travels with security now because of death threats and because of, all of the online hate and everything that he's received because of the way that the president has treated him. And now, once again, we know how Trump treats women, and we know how women are disproportionately impacted by his tweets and his words, etc. Yeah. So, once again, look out, Deborah Birx.
Exactly. And I want to give you just a little bit more because we're on Tone Watch, week 3. Trump's got a new tone, so let's see what that new tone is. First of all, he's attacking Dr. Deborah Birx. So, man, he really doesn't like doctors. He's okay with Dr. Evil. Dr. Doom, he's okay with. Other doctors, not a big fan. So in that burst of tweeting that he's done over the last day, he also said, cases up because of big testing. Much of our country is doing very well. Open the schools, because he has a hunger for more deaths, and now he wants the sweet death of the young. And so he said that. He also said, with the exception of New York and a few other locations, we've done much better than most other countries in dealing with the China virus. Many of these countries are now having a major second wave. Yeah, the other countries are, not us. The fake news is working overtime to make the USA and me look as bad as possible. As we passed 157,000 deaths, and God only knows how many people with absolutely shredded lungs and hearts and other long-term organ damage from having survived this illness. No, it's the other countries that are doing poorly. We're good. We just have the most deaths ever, anywhere.
Bad
New
for the
tone.
soul. All this. Don't read those tweets. Bad
Yeah,
for the soul.
that's
just
true.
imagine how bad they are.
Exactly. It's like,
I
yeah.
mean, that's what we're supposed to do. I get it, John. This is a news show, but I feel like when I read that, a part of me dies.
Yeah. It's probably a part
And-
you need.
Uh?
I think you could use it. Yeah.
I know. I don't want to just, it's fully just like, "Ee." Like every time he capitalizes words that
Oh,
like he
God.
shouldn't, I was like, "Ee, oh. There goes my innocence. Flap, 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 flap.
Yeah. No amount of clapping is going to save Francesca when she sees something like that. Yeah. Okay. We've got a little bit more related to the coronavirus that we're gonna get to in just a second, but let's check in. We'll get back to the super chats in a little bit, but over on Twitch, Obi-Mom Kenobi is gifting tier subs like a maniac. Thank you, Obi-Mom Kenobi. She is up to 271 subs that she has gifted. Pinkerbell Pixie, actually, I didn't even see that before I made that comparison, but
Right?
she's also gifting tier 1 subs, so thank you very much for doing that. And let's see, in the Twitch chat, John's Venn diagram of desire says, good morning, Dragon Squad. Thunder Voice says, hello, Dragon Squatters, with an awesome waving emoji. And Uper Gardner says, it's time for the Dragon Squad to assemble. Appreciate that. C-Dub says, Black Widow is kick-ass, Franny. It's a compliment.
Aw.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
think it's you're a little bit more troubled by the current person playing Black Widow as opposed to Black Widow, I assume.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not coming from a position of information. I need to watch. I won't, but I imagine.
Well, we're never gonna see it because movies don't happen anymore.
Right.
So that's fun. Okay, and with that, lots more to get. Oh, by the way, really fast. I was checking up on. There was a back and forth about pronunciation, and then I realized Behoove sent another super chat saying, John, a little off. Try conch, and then I realized, oh, I thought you were trying to get me to say something that in another language was offensive. Then I realized, oh, no. I was just mispronouncing the word because I haven't said that word out loud in 25 years. It is conch, even though our language is stupid and it should be conch.
It's not conch. It's not conch shell. It's conch.
No, it's conch. Yeah, it is. It shouldn't be. And let's vote, okay? I want to see who sides with me and the English language and who sides, well, I guess what it should be anyway. Who is an idealist when it comes to language? Write out conch, K-O-N-K, or conch, C-O-N-C-H, because I just pronounced it the way it should, okay? Now with that.
Because there's a damn H in it.
There is.
But by that rule, we should pronounce herbs herbs.
Some do.
So, all you UK listeners.
Exactly. Okay, with that, let's check in on masks. I gave a lot of credit a couple of weeks ago to several Fox News personalities for pushing for mask wearing. Foremost of those, perhaps, was oddly Jeanine Pirro, who posted multiple photos of herself wearing masks in public and getting attacked brutally. You might remember this photo is the one where in the full photo, you can see that on her phone, she's a topless picture of Chrissy Teigen. But anyway, we're moving on. And others. And she was just getting attacked for doing that. But even Sean Hannity did it. And I gave them a lot of credit. And you know why? Because I'm an idiot. Because I'm stupid and I never learn, and they pulled the football out from under me. Yeah, they temporarily told people to wear masks, but it didn't catch on the right. The right still thinks it's a plot by Bill Gates and demons, and it gives you, according to Louis Gohmert, it gives you coronavirus. So they're now backtracking. And so here is Judge Jeanine Pirro talking about masks.
Joe Biden is afraid of him. He'll use a pandemic I think it's hysterical when he and his wife come out together and they're wearing their masks. You know, they've been housed together since the pandemic started, and they're wearing masks together when they come out. What is the point of the mask? The point of the mask is to basically kind of dehumanize. It's to, frighten people. You don't know who's behind the mask. It's to give people cover. It's exactly what the anarchists and the protesters need. It strikes fear. There's something going on. There are all kinds of subliminal messages to that mask. And, he's always in that black mask.
God, I'm an idiot. I mean, she is too.
Reach. Just like, oh, she's off prompter. She's off prompter and doesn't have a good reason why masks are bad.
What if
like
you're off
when
prompter?
I go to Disneyland and Chip and Dale are there with their masks and they're so sinister. I don't know. There's something. Have you ever seen a clown? Clowns are mean. Yeah. They're all just like, what is she doing? What is she actually doing?
Yeah.
Just reaching for some BS excuse. Oh yeah, Biden is evil because he wears a black mask. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Look, I'm gonna just briefly say this has nothing to do with anything that she said, but sometimes I'll get really drunk and I will try to tell people about why I think there should be a homeward bound cinematic universe and how awesome that idea that is. But it's hard to express because when I'm doing it, I'm really drunk. I don't have a teleprompter, but I'm really drunk. Unrelated story, has nothing to do with anything. But anyway, so with Jeanine Pirro,
I think she would have been much better if she had been a little. I don't think she was there. I mean, unlike most of her clips.
Yeah. You don't think
she's
that she was
a little
off
too
prompter,
sober?
but on the sauce?
It would have come to her faster if she had been drunk.
Maybe that's true. Look, here's what she's doing. She's grifting. That's all it is. She tried to be responsible, and if she got applauded and followed on Twitter and handed opportunities as a result of being responsible, I think plenty of these right-wingers would do that. If they could be moral and get paid, they do it, but the pay comes first. And so if you have to be irresponsible and tell people to do things that are going to get them killed to stay relevant, then you're going to do that. Because not all of the Fox News personalities switched over to being for masks. Laura Ingraham never did. Tucker Carlson never did. And they're the popular ones. And so she wants to be one of the popular ones. And so she's going to tell people to effectively kill themselves with a fatal illness. That's what she's doing. And coming up with ridiculous things about how scary it is. Yeah, Joe Biden, he's basically Antifa. That's what he is. No, he's an elderly man with health problems who doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
And so that's what she's
got to keep them, the ones and twos up or whatever
exactly.
these are.
Fisticuffs, good sir.
The fisticuffs. Can I just say, though, that Jeanine Pirro, when she did try, I've never loved a picture of her harder than seeing Jeanine Pirro with her mouth covered. Like, there's a part of me that just went,
Mm-hmm.
And I just and if we could just get, I'm sure someone out there is good with Photoshop, all of the Fox News hosts with a mask on.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would just, we need to look at those photos. When you imagine a glorious day when Fox News is disassembled and sold for parts, and just breathe that sigh of relief, because no one needs to hear anything that comes out of their mouths ever.
That is definitely true. Yeah, so Chris Hughes super chatted, Pirro is the final boss Karen we have to face after beating the minor Karens.
Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, just wear it. You know what? The subliminal messages, don't care, protects you from a virus. That's what it is. You know the subliminal message I get when I'm walking down the street and someone's coming towards me and they're wearing a mask, the message I get is, oh, that person doesn't want to infect me with a deadly virus. And that's a nice message. By the way, I just want to share this thing that I saw. Sarah Z on Twitter was spreading this. You might remember, it's going to be off-centered, from Princess Bride, why are you wearing a mask? And he responds, no, it's just that they're terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future. And it turned out to be true. Princess Bride, ahead of its time, as always. Anyway, that's
I
Jeanine
wish
Pirro.
that we could wear Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle masks, like just over the eyes, like just straight Zorro.
That's cool. Yeah.
Man, that'd be so much cooler.
It would.
Like if only the coronavirus infected like the parts around our temples, and we could just all look like dope superheroes, but
That would be
instead
cool.
we look like,
Yeah.
Like we're trying to fend off a killer virus.
Yeah. Although I have to say, like, you know, like,
I do look like a ninja. I will say I do
Good.
sincerely look like a ninja.
You wear a black mask?
Huh?
What
I have a
color
black mask and it's way
Oh,
too
okay.
big and I look like a ninja and so i.e. I look like I could get beat in like 5 seconds. Like
Oh,
someone
jeez.
could just like pow pow done.
Yeah. By the way, if you want like a cool mask, I thought randomly, I wonder if they have masks that look like the side of World War II era planes, like the jaw. And they do. Go on Etsy. They have everything. If you want a shark, you can be a shark. You can be a real shark. You can be the shark from Finding Nemo. They have everything, by the way. Etsy's all over it, so you can get cool masks. And I want to get a dragon one at some point. You can get ones that look like your own face.
That'd be really, the dragon one's cool. I mean, don't go outside with it. You're a total nerd, but like, it's cool.
I'm gonna. But anyway, and by the way, I don't know if this is a thing that's starting to develop, and I know it's weird to say, but like, you know, like in some cultures, certain things are covered up, and in other cultures, things aren't covered up, and that obviously has long-term impact on what is seen as attractive and mysterious and all of that.
Yes.
Like when you're walking around, you can't see people's faces. It's mysterious. You wonder what their faces look like.
Yep.
I don't know. And I
Yeah,
want to
it's
see.
a new dating show.
Guess that face.
The Masked Single.
Okay. Exactly. I would actually watch that as long as Sarah Palin wasn't on it. Okay, with that, let's quickly jump into this. What is going to happen to the Republican Party if Donald Trump loses? We don't know for sure, but we did perhaps get a little bit of a preview not long ago when Matt Gaetz and Donald Trump Jr. attacked top house Republican Liz Cheney as insufficiently loyal to Trump, saying that she was effectively sabotaging the president, and it's disloyalty and it's backstabbing, and we're the true Trump fans. And pre-election, that says to him that you can trust us, but post-election, it's about posturing. It's about trying to gobble up the Trump base after Trump can no longer hold elected office effectively. And so those camps might end up playing out, and interviews with over a dozen Republican lawmakers and aides conducted by Politico apparently are showing that. They say there's a growing sense that if Trump loses the White House and the GOP fails to make meaningful gains in the House, which seems pretty certain, and if he loses, it will definitely be certain, the fight for the future of the party will play out in challenges across leadership. They say that the party's long-simmering divides were largely papered over after Donald Trump won the White House back in 2016, but that truce might fall apart, and of course it will. I mean, effectively, all of the big ideological differences that they had were just set aside by, oh, Trump is the thing, we all love Trump now, no matter how, vicious we were to him before he was a candidate. But they still hypothetically have preferences. Ted Cruz, like, I know he thinks deep down he's gonna finally come back someday stronger than ever. I'm just biding my time. And he doesn't realize that at his core is weakness, surrounded by a big shell of weakness. The core is basically the same as the shell. And so all of that is simmering in the background. And so if he does lose, Francesca, what do you think some of the shakeup is going to look like? What are some of the effects you believe you're likely to see?
I'm just excited for it. I can't predict exactly what's going to happen, but I'm very excited. There'll be like the full-blown, the Q party. There'll be the like, yes, we accept Latinos and African Americans party. I think Romney plays a role. There's a little bit of a Romney revival. Guy Smiley back at it again. I am looking forward to the destruction of the Republican Party, and I love seeing them on their back heels. I think it's really important. And again, opportunity for the Democrats to finally, go on the offense and play hard and do what Republicans have done. But, you see Mitch McConnell just recently saying, if you need to distance yourself from Trump, do it, right? Yeah. To candidates right now. That is a very different tune than 6 months ago. And I think that started to happen after the 2018 midterm election, when you realize that hitching your wagon to Trump is going straight off that cliff. So I'm excited. I am excited to peer down onto the ashes of the Republican Party and watch them try to claim, and this is going to be great, y'all, claim that they were the ones who stood up to Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was working on a manuscript about it but I didn't manage to publish it, right? And we have to bring those receipts. And look, I'm not saying that like a more cuddly conservatism is out there. God, I hope. I truly do. I mean, but first there has to be a little bit of accountability.
Yeah, I wonder if there will be any. I mean, look, it's not like the Republican Party has changed in some ways over the, let's say, the last 20 years. Like, you did have the Tea Party, but like now, so in the beginning, the Tea Party wins that they had made the party look a little bit different. But like, how many of those people still really have anything to do with the Tea Party? Like, didn't it kind of, it seems like it just evaporated into the Republican Party. Like, the things that George W. Bush was pushing for, are they really that fundamentally different than John McCain was going to hypothetically, or Mitt Romney, or Trump has? Like, they're against immigration, they want to cut taxes, they don't want you to have health care. There's a lot of through lines back to the beginning of when I was really paying attention to politics. And they always say around the time of an election, there's going to be this reckoning. Like after they lost to Obama, it was, oh my God, we have to figure out how are we going to get Latino voters to like us? They never did that. Nope. All they do is look for the next person, the next guy, really. The next guy that they're going to line up behind. And Trump was that guy. And if he's not the guy next time, then it's going to be Don Jr., or it's going to be Tucker Carlson, or it's going to be Matt Gaetz, or whatever. It's not, they have not actually come to grips with the need to change what they are pushing for in terms of policy to bring in new voters, because they long ago gave up on winning fair elections democratically. They have doubled down on trying to limit how many people can vote and trying to make elections able to be won by a minority of the population. And so, since they're doing even more of that lately, why would there be an ideological reckoning, or, you know, maybe trying to change up some of their values, come up with new... They still don't have a healthcare plan. Trump said two weeks ago, remember, I'm going to have the healthcare plan, and now he doesn't have it, and he never will. Yeah, I don't see a real reckoning happening. There will be leadership change-ups. There'll be they'll be, you know, changing the deck chairs on the Titanic and all of that, because they're all aggressively ambitious individuals. But they're also hollow shells.
But that's, I mean, I think, I realize I'm painting like a very rosy picture of what could potentially happen once Trump is out of office, right? And that, if only a Mitt Romney-like, John McCain-like Republican Party were still salvageable. But I think you are right that the Trump Jr., the Matt Gaetz, the grifters will take advantage of a base that they have only further radicalized by the last 4 years. Right. And now it's out of control. Now it owns them. Right. It runs the show. It being, again, the 5G race monger nut jobs. And now that you're right, like there is no healthcare plan. There's not really trade. It is all about white nationalism and the race war. It's about, low income housing. It's about protecting the suburbs. It's about whiteness. It's the last gasp of whiteness, and I don't think they're going to go down easily, but they definitely are becoming more and more fringe. And I think it's important to out people like Matt Gaetz, who is a total grifter. Matt Gaetz was in favor of immigration reform. Matt Gaetz, when he saw that his appearances on Fox News were going viral and everything that he said, more extreme things that he would say would get him more attention, that's when he became, a MAGA chud.
Yeah. Oh, God. I really do think you laid it out. The 70% of the party post-Trump is going to be white identity politics, and it will be, I think it's already pretty much just give me whatever Candace Owens said earlier today, or Ben Shapiro. That's what we stand for as a party. And in fact, can you get them in here in Congress? Can we talk to Candace Owens or whatever? Or Tucker Carlson said, some mix of the two. It's just going to be whatever weird thing they're focused on. That's what the party will be focused on. Generally around white identity politics and white supremacy. And then like 30% whatever Q is at that point. Really. And I know that sounds crazy, and I hope that I'm 100% wrong, but it doesn't seem to be going away. And they are more openly embracing it with every passing day, including members of Trump's family and politicians. They're just openly accepting, no, that thing about the underground plot to unveil a centuries-old pedophile ring. Yeah, that's real, and they found a lot of good things. And they're going to have to try to appeal to those people. to win primaries, if not general elections. And I don't know that it'll work. Hopefully it won't. They'll have to lose multiple elections to finally change, perhaps. And hopefully campaign finance will speed that along. Campaign finance reform will speed that along. But yeah, it's going to be a messy process, and the end result is going to be maybe worse than what we have right now. Okay, before we jump into our last story, let's talk a little bit about what's been going on in the Super Chat. Raleigh Jones says, in this bill, aren't there billions of dollars going to new warplanes? Yes, lots of money to the F-35. That's what was proposed. Since Trump thinks they're invisible, can they just show him an empty hangar and say, look, sir, aren't they beautiful? Do you have any idea how much I want that to happen now? Like, if they literally opened up a big hangar and there was nothing there, and the emperors clothed him about planes, there's nothing I would want more. Because he was like, definitely say that they're beautiful. Oh, God, I wish I had that. Okay, Lil Yumper says, always great to take lunch and watch Fran and John. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you. Jeff Rowan says, Francesca, the perfect guest for Mondays. Her smiling face makes you feel like it'll be all right, even if she's telling you that it won't. Charles says,
that's a face of Big Brother right there.
That's true. Hey. Charles says, out of everyone at TYT, who has the best Trump voice? I think probably Anna, or maybe you. Anna does this breathy bedroom Trump voice.
Anna's
really
is very.
disturbing.
I like Anna's interpretation, but I think mine is very, very good.
Yours
because
is more
I've got
over
the
top.
Butthole mouth, and I've got the little closed hands, and I've got the little high voice when he does this.
He does do that. That's good.
Anna's
no one does that.
Good, not great, not perfect, but very, but adequate.
Mm-hmm. I do like that. That's good. Yeah, he occasionally goes into like the China, like the super high pitched thing. Yeah.
Ugh. Sorry about that, guys. I just had to.
Yeah. Izzy says, thanks to Lee Atwater's famous explanation on how to secretly provide racist dog whistle language via tax cuts, program elimination, and creating boogeymen. That's Trump's current and new tone. It'll also be the future tone. We've always been at war with East Asia. That's what it'll be. Frojo Baggins says, I had a close call almost 2 weeks ago, so I've been wearing a mask at home since then to protect my wife and kids. I get called out in Zoom meetings for wearing one because I'm too paranoid. Rather be paranoid and safe. Yes, 100%. And we appreciate you doing that. And that's the thing. People calling out other people. Like, if someone else is wearing a mask and you don't think it's necessary, shut the blank up. How about that? How about that? How about just don't stop people from doing something safe?
It's a little peer pressure-y. You know, if you see someone not or taking it off, you kind of do it too, and you don't want to be you weirdly don't want to be disrespectful by keeping it on. But just remember, that is a sign of respect. We should just write on all our masks, like, this is a sign of respect.
Yeah.
That's it.
In the chat, I can see a few other people talking about the best Trump impersonator. So... let's see. I am Gift Bear says, I like Jenk's impression. Cracks me up every time. I've done 2 shows with Jenk since the beginning of the pandemic. Like, I haven't talked to Jenk at all. I don't even remember what it's like. And thank you for your cervix. Whoa, says Colbert and Trevor have the best Trump impersonation. Look, I know it's cheesy and centrist or whatever, but I think Colbert has the best. I don't think Trevor Noah's is very good. I think that Colbert
his is interesting. I mean, obviously, the best Trump impression is the impersonator Anthony Atamanuik from The President Show that everyone should still watch, even though it's not on anymore. It's so funny. Yeah, but Stevens is good. You know, his ... That's very nice. He's very best. It's good.
And it evolved over time. I just love it, and I know it's just Stephen Colbert, but I want it to be back on the air.
Whoa, don't hate on Stephen Colbert, all right? Just because he's like mainstream now.
No, that's the thing. Like, everybody loves to hate on him. Like, oh, because he's not left or whatever. But like, I still think he's funny. Can I think something's funny?
He serves a purpose, man.
Yeah.
Yo, honestly.
Yeah. Can something just be funny?
Yeah. Agreed.
I wish Michelle Wolf's show was still on during this time. That would be interesting. I wonder what she's been up to.
That would be nice.
Anyway, with that, let's jump into our last story. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tried to stop the military from recruiting on Twitch, and unfortunately that failed, as we will describe. It was voted down, so the military is back on Twitch, but they swear they're not doing it to recruit. Take a look at this Navy streamer. I don't know why it's not working. But don't worry, I've got a backup.
Just play Kaylee again.
Yeah.
Play games, share our stories and our experiences with our entire time in the Navy. We're not here to recruit anybody. We just want to connect with the gaming community and be good representatives of the Navy. But we do realize, right, naturally, when people watch it and they hear all these things, our lives, they might be interested in joining the Navy. And we're happy to point them in the right direction, right? You can go to Navy.com. We've got a link to it on our site, and you can find out everything you need to know about joining the Navy. But for those of you that are under 17, right, just stay in school.
Just stay in school, keep watching us, and literally every 30 minutes, I'll tell you the link to get recruited, and so just spend 2 years doing that, and then eventually, join up. Subscribe. You're not buying it? You're not buying it?
Yeah, like, subscribe, go die for your country in a BS cause.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, military recruitment really gets me. Like, I think it is evil. I'm sorry. I am absolutely, they've always had these tactics, whether it's bringing helicopters or tanks to schools and enrolling people in ROTC from a very, very young age, getting them to sign these pledge cards. They'll roll up with straight video games, right? There'll be entire vans with video games on board that you can play that are just simulators. Yeah. So of course they're recruiting on Twitch, and I think it's disgusting. I don't want to go to a movie and see a Navy ad. It's just one of my triggers. It's not okay. They are not giving you honest information. I don't think there's anything wrong with joining the Navy, but these recruitment tactics are wrong, and they're preying on young people.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not new. It's new on Twitch, but they literally made a game. America's Army was a game designed to get kids excited about joining the military. And look, I get it. If we're going to have a military and it's not going to have a draft, they're going to do some recruiting, but we get to say where that happens and how predatory it gets to be. And I would say it's basically maxed out on the predatory meter and was before Twitch even existed. So we get to try to fight back against that. Unfortunately, not successfully in this case. But, credit to Jordan Yule for starting this whole thing off when he got banned from one of their streams for talking about war crimes. And that led to the awesome effort by AOC to try to get it stopped. As the vote was happening, she in fact tweeted, imagine trying to explain to your colleagues who are members of Congress what Twitch is with a crying face. Have I mentioned that I love AOC and that she's the best? Yeah, they don't understand. They can never understand. People my age I talk to have no idea what Twitch is or why someone would watch someone play video games. They say to me and then turn back to watching sports. They don't get it. And so it was voted down, unfortunately. She did say there was some good news. A majority of the Dem Party supported her amendment to stop that recruiting. She said that's a really solid start for this being the first time this issue has been brought before Congress. We've made great strides since that Senate Facebook hearing. You might remember what she's talking about. But we've got a lot of room to still improve. And that was a hearing where they had Zuckerberg and others. And I swear to God, there were senators asking for tech advice.
Yes.
I have an issue with my monitor and my printer's out of ink.
So how do you reset a password?
Exactly.
My current password is capital Z _ 0. Are you writing this down? Yes.
The password to the nuclear launch codes is currently no one's watching this, are they? Why is it Lindsey Graham? I don't know, but it is.
Yeah, it's gotta be
Lindsey Graham. So
it was very
insane.
much like, hey, Mr. Internet Man.
Mr. Internet Man, Joe Internet. And look, I'm glad that she did it. She was incredibly responsive. Supposedly she was already working on this, but it was incredibly responsive to the concerns that were raised almost in real time. And understand, it is having an effect. Several branches of the military, with the exception of the Marines, for some reason, that's interesting, have had esports teams since 2018, and according to military.com, the Army's esports efforts alone generated 3,500 recruiting leads just in 2019. Last week, the Army paused its use of Twitch for recruitment after its channel was criticized for banning viewers who asked about war crimes. That was obviously a temporary ban.
Yay,
but
Jordan.
Also, and someone mentioned this in the chat, earlier this month, Twitch told the Army to stop sharing phony prize giveaways on its channel that promised an Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, only for users to be directed to a recruitment page when they click through.
Wow.
So they join the military, and at the end of the day, they don't even get the controller. So that's obviously incredibly dishonest and manipulative and predatory. and it needs to stop. And so more people need to line up behind AOC on this.
Look, if there are not enough people for all of the naval bases around the world, maybe we should consider like closing some of them down. Maybe they're not necessary. Maybe they're spreading coronavirus in Okinawa right now in Japan. Like, you know, just a thought. Maybe we don't need a giant military footprint around the world. I mean, you know, yeah, there's other things going on. But hey, that's just me talking. I'm probably un-American.
Probably. You don't think that we should have like comparable military deployments in dozens of countries compared to what the actual host countries have? You don't think we shouldn't be everywhere? Weird.
I guess I don't love this country, but I call it into question.
You do. It's becoming more popular these days, like Twitch. Anyway, Francesca, I can't believe how fast that hour went by. I love starting off the week with you. It's the best. Thank you.
Likewise, John. You're awesome. Everybody, follow me on Twitter.
You're awesome, but more importantly, where can they see more of your stuff?
Instagram at Franny Fio. Listen and watch the Bitchuation Room. It's on YouTube and Twitch /Franny Fio. And John was on. He was great. We've got had Carlos Maza on to talk about YouTube and why it loves hate speech.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Not the thing, but the episode. Go watch it. Anyway, thank you as always. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
And for those of you at home, there was a comment I read I wanted to see. Scott Hodgins commented on YouTube saying, "But John, they do get the controller, but it's connected to a drone flying over the Middle East." Yes. Okay, so I'm going to read a few more comments, but before I read the comments, I want to thank an individual named Carolyn Rock. Do you know what Carolyn Rock did? Carolyn Rock is a painter, an awesome painter, who sent Anna and myself little paintings of our dogs. And I think on Anna's Instagram, you can see the painting I believe that she made of Charlie. It's amazing. It nails him, Charlie. But do you know what else she made? She made a little helo. I'm trying to make it so you can see. Is that not Hilo? Like, you look at that and you think, wait, they put Hilo in a little box. That's Hilo. And also Abby. Little Abby before she was shaved. So, needs to be updated, Carolyn, because now she has short fur. But no, thank you. They're absolutely awesome. This looks so much like my dog. And I can put it on my refrigerator. And so thank you so much for Carolyn Rock. That is absolutely awesome. I know it's weird. There's nothing I like more than when people draw us or paint us or make any kind of art. I've been saying in the studio we need to have a big wall for it for a long time. It really it just gets me going. I love it. So thank you so much for that. And everyone else who has done it in the past. Some people will link me on Instagram to like drawings they've done and things like that. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much. Now, with that said, let's jump into a couple of comments. Robert V says, randomized controlled clinical trials don't show HCQ, hydroxychloroquine, working. Bringing up demon stuff lady is fun/fair, but people forget that the guy who invented PCR used in COVID testing was also a nut job. Okay, that's a fine point. That's a fine point. I don't know if same level as her. She's something. Dan, thank you for your super chat. Tails says, yay, Franny, Monday, day 131 of lockdown. Love your podcast, by the way. Did you know Congress is part of Mickey Mouse's Toodles, but you'll never see them in episode because they're useless? I don't know exactly what that's reference to, but thank you. Appreciate that. And let's see. Bart, the producer, is in my document saying, John, the military using Twitter is no different than the military using the film industry like Top Gun and Red Dawn as recruitment tools. It's just a different medium. Go Top Gun 2. I agree with you, although I would have a different conclusion. They also shouldn't do that work with these movies. And I almost brought up, like, Michael Bay, I think it is. It always works with the military. It's manipulative, and it's propaganda. It might be cool in some cases, but it is propaganda. And it's our military. It's not theirs. So we get to say, you know, whether we're okay with that or not. So anyway, with that, thank you everybody for watching. Remember, Parkland Rising, a new documentary streaming, special screening at youtube.com/theyoungturks and tyt.com/live today at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. You can watch that later on today. Lots planned for this week, so definitely stay tuned. Thank you for joining us today. I'll see you soon. Stay safe out there.